IVC, Dale Gatefold 33, back with another video. This is going to be my Lost in the Collection video for June 2024. So yeah, we're just into July now. So I'm going to show some records I've revisited that I've not played for a long time, and just say a little bit about them as per normal. Sort of announcement, I'm probably going to pause this series. I don't know what this is, 60 odd Lost in the Collection videos I've done without a break. Yeah, work's going to get incredibly busy soon, and I'm not sure I can commit to listening to 10 records a month. How shocking is that? Or certainly alongside all the other stuff I'm trying to listen to. So yeah, so I'm going to pause it. I'm not going to kill it. I'm going to pause it, and I may come back to it if time allows. But I'm still, I know I said this last video, I'm still going to try and make more videos, but maybe not this Lost in the Collection video. So and I've reached a point in my culling where I'm revisiting records good, but it's not throwing up lots and lots of culls, as this video will probably confirm. So you know, it served its purpose in terms of pushing my helping with my cull / purge. I do need to keep revisiting these records because at the moment, you know, there's still every month, because I keep a record in my spreadsheet of which month I last listened to a record. So every time the month ticks over, more records are getting added to the list of records that haven't been listened to in 5 years, because I've got an algorithm on that. So yeah, so if I'm listening to 10 records a month, and when it ticks over to the next month, another 10 records are going to get added to the list. It started that I had 600 records that I haven't listened to in 5 years or more, and I've still got 600 records I haven't listened to in 5 years or more, because, as I said, the list is continually refreshing itself, which is good. It keeps throwing up these records, but obviously in an ideal world I wouldn't have 600 records I haven't listened to for 5 years or more, which is why I started the cull, which is now I'm stopping this and I'm not going to complete the cull, and therefore I'm going to stay in this position forevermore. Okay, on that confusing and positive note, I'll move forward. Let's show some records. So this month I tried to theme it. So we've had a miserable spring in the UK, wet, not the band, the weather. And June, there was a little bit of an uptick. The sun came out, so I thought, okay, can I do a summer theme for June? And so I thought I'll pick on a colour. I've done this before. I picked cover colours, so I thought I'd pick on yellow for the sun, and choose albums that had a yellow leaning, not necessarily yellow cover, but a yellow leaning in my eyes. And some of these, when I show them, you think that's nothing like yellow. Dale, what, you're colourblind. So I managed to do that for a part of the month, and then I abandoned it partway through. So the first 6, I think, are what I regard as yellow leaning, and I guess the question is, with a yellow leaning cover, are they actually summery albums or not, was the question I was posing myself. Okay, so that's 4 minutes of your time I've wasted, and I'm going to show some records. So first one I chose does have a lot of yellow in it, and a big smiley face, and some blue on the back as well. So yellow and blue. This is Tim Buckley, and Goodbye and Hello. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into the story of Tim Buckley particularly, so a kind of, I don't know, is he a West Coast Baroque, psych, folk, pop singer, jazzy towards the latter stages, singer, songwriter, and died young, and yeah, and I would say potentially his voice is an acquired taste. I like his voice, but there can be times when it can get a little bit grating. So this album, probably not as summery as the cover would suggest, I would say. So this is, as I said, Baroque psych. I'll look at my notes. I've got my notes in front of me. Baroque psych, folk, rock. I've said starts off pretty strongly. Third track on side one, Pleasant Street, I think is a really great sort of brooding, reflective song. So not particularly a summery song. Side B is really where I think the strength of the album is on the second side, and in fact, track 2 on side 2, Phantasmagoria in 2, and the final track, Morning Glory, would feature in my all-time top 1,000 songs. If I ever made that list, I'm sure they would be in it. So some great songs on here. Really enjoyable keeper, and I guess Jeff Buckley obviously was son of Tim Buckley, and also tragically, even more tragically, died young. I don't get on. So Jeff Buckley's voice just doesn't really sit with me. Tim Buckley's does. But as I said, even then, it kind of is a bit of an acquired taste at times. But yeah, good album. Okay, this next one, this is where the yellow gets stretched, is Grace Jones and Night Clubbing. And I've written in big text, underappreciated question mark. And I think I've said this before when I think maybe when I listened to Warm Leatherette a while ago. I'm not sure Grace Jones gets the credit that perhaps she might deserve for the music that she put out. She's kind of maybe seen as a bit gimmicky, and a bit of a kind of muse for others' creativity, when I think that's perhaps not true at all. But this is a really great, and this probably, you could say, this is a good summer album. Have I written that? I have written that. I've written steamy. I've written. So that's the first word. Oh, even blushing. Steamy. Starts off strong. I'll take that out. Walking in the Rain. Pull up to the bumper. Obviously was a big single. Title track, Night Clubbing, is also great. And so is I've Seen That Face Before, Libertango, and I also like I've Done It Again. So it's packed with some great, strong tracks, and this was recorded at Compass Point in Nassau, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's got Sly and Robbie all over it. So yeah, this is, as I said, steamy, dripping with nightclub vibes, and really good summer listen. Well, anytime listen, really. Great album. Okay, moving on. And this album, so this is Misha, and the album There Is a Place. So yeah, there's yellow and red. There they are. So this is, I guess, the new, or part of the new London jazz scene that was, burst kind of onto the scene probably mid 2010s maybe, and has sustained. Although it's gone a bit quiet, it feels like it's not as popular, or is not as well kind of shown and in the VC as it was a few years ago. And this is from 2018, and so this is some kind of a collective, and I think it certainly features Nubia Garcia on saxophone and sort of other members of the London jazz scene. It's on Giles Peterson's Brownswood label, so I kind of bought this. I haven't really, gone all in at all on the London jazz releases. I've only got 2 or 3, I think, so thankfully for my wallet, I haven't gone all in. I've enjoyed what I've heard, but don't feel compelled to kind of collect and follow that strongly. But yeah, this is a good album. I think I'd say it was quite mellow on side A, and then picks up a bit more kind of lively, I've written, on side 2, and a solid kind of modern spiritual jazz album that's a keeper for now, and I'll definitely go back to it. But yes, say in my mind, I'm kind of undecided where I sit with this kind of British London jazz explosion. Solid album. Okay, change of style. And we've got, nearly had the record on the floor. So there's the record. This is on CBS label. This is Steam Hammer. So 1969, is it? Yeah, 1969. And I guess it looks like 1969, doesn't it there? This is bluesy, jazzy, proggy psych, with different amounts of each sprinkled into the mix, I suppose. And yeah, it's got certain amount of Traffic or Jethro Tull vibes going on, great, track, Junior's Wailing on side A. So I've kind of assessed it as a solid late 60s British blues rock. Some great guitar, so Martin Pugh adds some great guitar flourishes and pieces to this. Really enjoyable guitar. And the vocals of Kieran White are interesting vocals. So yeah, a good solid British blues rock. But there were several British blues rock artists around at that time in '69, and I think the last track, Water Part 2, which I think is quite that is a really lovely piece. But it's only that long, which isn't very long at all. Okay, change of gear again, and Buzzcocks, and a different kind of tension. And this is a UK original. Okay, so great song. I really like You Say You Don't Love Me, I think is a great song, as is, am I saying A Raison d'Etre? I probably am. Some nice guitar on side 2. And yeah. And the last, I Believe, is also a great track. So I think there's some really strong material on this. Is it as good as their other albums? I'm not sure. That's probably more about me not having immersed myself in the Buzzcocks. I picked up their first three albums quite quick, in quite close succession. So I'm not sure I've invested in differentiating in my mind the albums, but I enjoy them all. They're all keepers, certainly at the moment, and I've recently got a copy of Singles Going Steady, I had it digitally, but I've recently got a vinyl copy of that, so I'm kind of starting to kind of listen to that a bit more as well. But yeah, good album, definitely a keeper, or keeper for now anyway. Okay, so the last of the yellow albums. Ooh, this is a beast. This is a deluxe package, and this is Trader Horn and Morning Way. So this is a release on the Flashback Records, which is Richard Morton Jack, here of the sort of Endless Trip and you know, the Psych tomes. This is put out on his label. It's a typical, as I said, deluxe. It's got such thick stock, you know, weighs a ton. Comes with booklets and leaflets and a bonus single. But yeah, this is an album from, I can't remember, and I thought it was late 60s, but can't remember. Does it say on the record? It probably doesn't. No, it's a kind of folk psych album. It's got Jackie McCauley, who was in Them and the Belfast Gypsies, sort of teaming up with Judy Dybel, sort of singer, the original vocalist with Fairport Convention and their first album. And yeah, it's a nice mix of vocals, kind of sharing vocals that I think they blend quite well. Different styles of music. It isn't straight ahead kind of folk psych. It's kind of folk rock, soft rock, pop, all of that going on a little bit. Judy Dybel's vocals, I've always felt at this, certainly in her early years, were a little bit warbly perhaps, but enjoyable nonetheless. I think I've got the album she did with David Longdon much later, almost just before she passed away, where obviously her voice has aged, and I like that. Yeah, but yeah, nice. Probably got a bit more of a West Coast US feel than a British folk rock feel, I think. But yeah, solid album, nice packaging, nice to have. Okay, so we've lost the summery feel now. We've lost the yellow theme anyway. So let's, and just to kind of emphasize that, the next album is Famous Blue Raincoat and Blue, so we definitely cannot, although I could pass this off as having a yellow leaning, but I think that would be pushing it. So this is Jennifer Warnes and Famous Blue Raincoat, and as it says, is scrawled on the inner sleeve, this is Jenny Sings Lenny. So so Jennifer Warnes singing Leonard Cohen songs. So at this point in time, or certainly just before this, Jennifer Warnes was part of the sort of backing vocalist for Leonard Cohen, appearing on his albums. So I guess there was a returning of the favour or some kind of deal or whatever, where Leonard Cohen offered the chance for Jennifer Warnes to record his songs on her album. He does feature on one of them as well. So he provides vocals on one of the songs. So this was, when was it? 87. So yeah, so this I think teeters on the edge of 80s excess, 80s production cheese, if you like. But I think it just holds back enough. I really like this. I think I've said before, talking about Leonard Cohen albums, I like the later Leonard Cohen when he is using the female vocals and a bit more of the musical instrumentation to kind of accompany his voice. I prefer that to perhaps some of his earlier albums, where I think it's fair to say he's got fantastic poetic songs, but they're accompanied by a slightly whiny not particularly enjoyable vocal. So if you're like me, who likes the music of a song rather than the words of a song, that's why I lean more towards perhaps the lushness of later Leonard Cohen, and this is an example as well of that lushness, as I said, albeit slightly leaning towards 80s cheese. But yeah, so I think this is a good accompaniment to have. You know, it's an interpretation of Leonard Cohen's songs, not a replacement for those Leonard Cohen songs. It's an accompaniment, and I think it stands up. And I can't quite work out the chronology here, but there are songs on here that will appear on my favourite Leonard Cohen album, I'm Your Man, that is released the year after this. So I don't know quite how all of that works out, that Jennifer Warren's album has the songs, Leonard Cohen songs, that aren't yet Leonard Cohen songs because the album hasn't released. Excuse me, did you get any of that? Right. Okay, next. Definitely no yellow in this cover. I can probably guarantee. This is So by Peter Gabriel. Probably needs no introduction. Incredibly popular album in many households in the 80s. And yeah, this is interesting. So this is better than I remember it being. And I've said this a few times, you know, better than I remember it being. I went back to this with a little bit of trepidation that it would be, from my memory, excess 80s production on it, and it isn't. That, you know, if I went in with that expectation, I was pleasantly surprised, and I think that's because, you know, the song Sledgehammer, that was the big hit from this, is one of those songs you never need to hear again, and videos you never need to see again, because if you are of a certain age like me, it was all over MTV. Every other song, it seems, was Sledgehammer, that I really don't need to hear. And so I went into this perhaps with thinking that certainly Red Rain, Sledgehammer, Don't Give Up, the first three songs on here were songs that I've heard outside of the context of the album many times over the years, and therefore, you know, already, although I haven't listened to this album for a long time, was perhaps feeling that, you know, this is a little bit of a jaded album for me. But actually, as I said, I enjoyed it. It's a strong, solid, front to back album. It's got Kate Bush on it, you know. That's enough for me. So yeah, so again, probably not an album I'm going to put on all the time, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Okie dokie. Next up is this album, Genesis by Wendy and Bonnie. So this is I think a West Coast pop sisters, young sisters, I think, San Francisco type. This is on the Sundays label, so this was put out as a reissue in the US. I think it's quite rare that the original's one of those kind of small, not private press necessarily, but not very big releases. And yeah, again, this is an album, although this, you know, in this case I probably went back to this, I was a little bit more underwhelmed because I remembered that I remembered big things about this album that it didn't quite deliver. It was nice, you know, trippy harmony, folk, enjoyable, innocent, you know, and, you know, it kind of washes over you, a very kind of lush kind of, as I said, the kind of harmony and sort of tunefulness of the singing just washes over you, and it's impressive. I said, given the context of they were young, you know, young, and this is their first album, certainly. But yeah, overall though, not as great as I remembered it being when I listened to it as an album, but enjoyable all the same. And again, a keeper. All keepers. A few that are maybe we'll see next time. Okay, then finally is this album. This is Otis Reading and Carla Thomas, King and Queen. And yeah, I kind of revisited this because I've got Otis Reading box set of mono releases. I think 6 or maybe 8 mono albums, mono issues. They sound great, and this is an original mono, so I kind of like I think it's a mono. Is it mono? I said that now. I wasn't sure if it was a mono or stereo. Yeah, I think it's a mono. So UK on stacks. So it's kind of like, well, do I need both? So I enjoy the album. I'm still not undecided about whether I need both or not, but enjoy the album. I mean, the cover's a bit grubby. Plays VG Plus. Cover's not VG Plus, of course. So yeah, I could say this is their strongest album that Otis Reading put out. Could say that. Might be wrong. I know that perhaps the 2 or 3 before it were also really strong. But yeah, I really enjoy this. I think, you know, having that female voice works. It's got the classic tramp, which, you know, appears on many soul compilations, and obviously that is a definitely back and forth duet. But the rest do work. I think they've seen, you know, there's some good choices of songs that do work when you know, one or more, you know, either the male or the female voice kind of lead, and some good covers. You know, it's a good version of Knock on Wood that opens. So Lovey Dovey is a nice song. I think it's a good solid album. So yeah, enjoyed revisiting that. Don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I might keep it, I might not. Okay, that is a very long video of me waffling on. You can tell how out of practice I am at making videos. So you're probably glad that I'm going to be pausing this series if it's going to be like this in the future. So yes, as I said, I'll come back. I said it last time, my last video, I'll come back soon with a Finds video. I'll come back with a Finds video, whether it's soon or not, it's a different matter. So yeah, cheers VC, thanks, bye.